This is Maureen Kafkas, the Brain BS coach, here to tell you about the episode today. So, in this episode, in this series I've been doing on relationships, I decided it is important to do a solo episode and talk a little bit about that relationship we have with ourselves, the importance of that, and how we need to really cultivate that to love ourselves and then become part of a community and love and support other people. Because let me tell you, that is what the world is calling for, and that's what all my work is about. So sit back, settle in, episode 165 of the Brain BS podcast, coming together as a community. Do you want more out of your life, but not exactly sure what that might be? Are you longing for something, but can't quite put your finger on what it is? That is the universe speaking to you, and it is time to listen up. I'm your host, Maureen Kafkas, the Brain BS coach. I created the Brain BS podcast to help people define what success means to them and show them how to get it. I help you to let go of fear and doubt and prepare your nervous system for success. I show you how to understand your own energy and to trust yourself to make all the decisions. If you are ready to go inward and stop looking outside yourself for all the answers, this is the podcast for you. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Brain BS podcast. I'm so happy to be here today to have this conversation with you as I'm winding up the weekend and I'm getting ready to go to Youngstown, Ohio to spend a little time with my family before I head west. It kind of is a good time and it makes sense that I'm talking about relationships. Relationships with your family, relationships with your coworkers, with everyone else. Relationships is how we learn about ourselves. It's how we operate and navigate in this world. It's the single most important thing that I can talk about on this podcast. So if you are achieving all these goals and you're making all kinds of money and you've got houses all over and your business is booming, but you don't have good quality relationships, you're not going to be experiencing joy. Joy comes from connecting with other human beings, like-minded human beings who have similar values to us. So let's start first with what I want to say is the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. I believe that that's episode number 6 of the Brain BS podcast. And we're at 165 now. So I've known this for quite some time, and it was really the beginning of all the work I did. I didn't realize how deep it goes, loving yourself, and how uncomfortable it can get when you are actively loving yourself and making yourself a priority and making your needs be important after years of people pleasing and taking care of everybody else. But it is essential and vital that you do that. And here's why. Because we treat other people the way we treat ourselves. If we don't fully and completely love ourselves, we are not going to fully and completely love other people. And I know there's going to be people here that resist that, but it's true. You can't give somebody else something that you don't have within you. So you have to honor your relationship with yourself in order to fully be in your highest self. And it's from that place that you want to participate in your relationships. Does that make sense? I'm not saying you can't still love your kids or love your husband or love people, but it's not the same energy. It's not the same vibration. It's not the same quality as if you love yourself. Learning to love yourself is a part of learning to live consciously. That is what the Brain BS community is all about. That's what the Brain BS podcast is all about. It's about figuring out how to really trust yourself to make all the decisions in your life, and about learning to go inward to get the answers and know that you know better than anybody else what's best for you. And that's why I created the Mastering Brain BS for Success course. That's literally what that course does. It is helping you to reprogram your subconscious and unconscious programming that you developed early on from society and all the people around you, including your parents and siblings and teachers. And it's helping you to understand what that's creating for you in your life. We go deep into that part of it before we get it better, quote unquote, or more conscious, because we want to know where our go-to way of thinking is in our brain. And everybody, no matter who you are, Your subconscious and unconscious programming is way louder than any conscious goals you can have. So it's super important to go in, figure out what's going on in there, and then start managing your mind on purpose. Cultivate a mind body connection that is reliable and nurturing and supports you. And you develop a relationship with yourself that is so powerful. It is so empowering when you learn how to live consciously and trust yourself to make all the decisions. No more compare and despair. No more wondering what other people are thinking about you and worrying about it. It's just you showing up as the best version of yourself. So that's why I created the course. I created the Brain BS community because I want to bring people who are inspired to live consciously and who want to love themselves together so we can make a difference in this world together with collaboration and with loving and supporting one another with that high quality vibration that I was talking about that you can give to other people when you fully and deeply love yourself. You don't have the same expectations of people when you're in that place. You don't blame other people all the time for everything that's happening when you're in that place. So it opens up our hearts and our minds and it makes it easier to connect with other people, especially if you have a similar mindset and purpose. And I want to suggest to you that the way things are in the world right now, it's not good. Okay, things are not going well. I think by all accounts, nobody would think. I'm not saying there's not a lot of amazing things out there because I tend to look at that more than what's not right. But our systems are failing us because it's the systems can't cure our problems. It's people that have to do that. It's one person at a time, learning to live consciously, learning to love themselves, and then reaching out and supporting other people and inspiring them to do the same. Then you come together with this community that has such a high vibration, such a high frequency, and you figure out how to help people, how to get communities what they need. It's not about every man for himself. We are all in this together. We are woven from the same cloth, whether people realize it or not. And we are here to support one another. That is our mission. That's our purpose. We need to remember who we really are and step into some leadership energy and start taking responsibility for the people around us and for ourselves. We need to be proactive in our interactions with other people. We need to pool our resources and come together to get people what they need. I'm so tired of hearing about people complaining about the government, people complaining about politics, people complaining about everything, but then not doing anything to be part of the solution. Well, here I'm giving you an opening, an avenue for being a part of the solution. You come together, you figure out, you brainstorm, you experiment with the community, try to figure out how to help one another. This isn't something we've been doing, so it's not something I can just tell you clearly how to do. It's something that you have to actually kind of get messy and roll up your sleeves and kind of try to figure it out. One of the ways that I'm going to help this community, the Brain BS community, is that I created the Collaborative Capital Coaching community as well. And those are coaches who have similar values to my own. They put service ahead of money. They put collaboration over competition. They're transparent with their pricing. They have integrity with their sales. And they are here to support the Brain BS community. They're here to provide all kinds of teachings and workshops and modalities that you might not be able to figure out where they are on your own. So I bring all those things to the Brain BS community. I bring really good quality coaches to the community. I bring options for you to hire coaches at every income level. And I make coaching more accessible to people with this community. Now, the C4 community, which is what we call it, that's a little bit shorter name. The C4 community is also new, so it also is an experiment. This is what leadership looks like. This is what taking responsibility looks like. You don't always know what you're doing. You don't always know how it's going to turn out. You don't know if it's going to fail or if it's going to succeed or how many times you're going to have to pivot But one thing I know for sure is you have to have the courage to step forward and take action. We're all about spirit practical intelligence here at the Brain BS podcast. Okay, this is something I talk about all the time. Spirituality is great, but we need to be practical too. We need to apply what we learn in spirituality, and we need to take action. No, we can't sit around and talk about it in esoteric terms and be philosophical and keep doing things the same way. We need to start doing things differently. We need to be a part of the solution, and we need to figure out how communities can come together to support one another and help one another. I don't know if you've seen the blue zones, but if you look at all the different zones that they talk about where the people live to be 100 years old, the common denominator is community. The people are all there to support one another. So why aren't we doing that more here? Why is loneliness so rampant in our country? Why are so many people feeling isolated and disconnected? You don't have to even be a coach to help people, okay? You just need to be a human being with some leadership energy who's inspired and has spirit practical intelligence. You don't have to be a certified coach. Everything that I'm doing right now, I didn't need to get a certification for coaching for it. I just needed to do it. I just needed to believe in myself. And that's what I did. I've worked the last 2 years to believe a solid belief foundation in myself so that I can take action and I can be part of the solution and I can make this world a better place. And that is going to be my legacy. And that is going to be how I spend my time for the rest of my life. I can't think of a better way to spend my time. And I don't measure my metrics for success with money. Maybe I want it would be great to make some money. I love that idea because I could do a lot of cool things with that money and help people. In fact, did I mention that 10% of the proceeds of everything that I make in my business goes back to community? There's a capital grant fund that's going to be awarded quarterly, and 10% is going to go back to a coach or a person in the Brain BS community or the C4 community who inspires me and who is really taking responsibility and being a leader in every way. And then they're going to decide what they want to do with that money. They could pay it forward to someone else, or they could do something meaningful with it themselves. And then they're going to come back and share it with us and inspire us. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to inspire one another. We're going to step up, take responsibility, be leaders, and start remembering who we really are. And it all begins with learning how to live consciously. Living consciously is the solution to every problem. And loving yourself, loving your neighbor, loving your fellow humans. When you start doing this work, you don't get caught up in the brain BS that is so prevalent in our minds on a day-to-day basis. Oh my gosh, we always think everything is everybody else's fault. It's the craziest thing. And I'm just going to tell you, anytime somebody really bugs you, bothers you, that is a gift and an invitation to go inward. That's why relationships are so important. Okay, so to summarize here, learning to live consciously is how you learn to love yourself. That increases your vibration and makes you live at a higher frequency, and you will have a huge ripple effect on the people around you. We get enough people living consciously and we bring them together in a community, and it's off the charts, the vibration and the frequency. And we have similar mindsets, and we have a similar purpose, and we're on a mission to inspire other people to do that and for everybody to take care of one another. I can't think of anything that would be better or more important. There shouldn't be anybody out there. It could be locally. You could have communities locally in the area that you live in, or you can create them online. There is no reason in this day and age with technology that anybody should be left out. That we can't find a way to get everybody in the community. Now, one of the reasons why people don't go into community is because they don't love themselves. They're too afraid to go into a community because they're too fearful of what everybody else is thinking about them, because there's so many things that they don't like about them and they think that's unique about them. But there's literally not a human with a brain who doesn't dislike themselves and have things that they hide and things that they wish weren't there and things that they squash down because they find it shameful or scary or whatever. But that's what this work is about. That's what the learning consciously is about. Learning to live consciously. You go through the muck and you get to the other side and you're a better person for it. And then your community thrives and everybody around you feels better. It has a ripple impact. It has an impact on your kids, on your grandkids, on all the generations that are behind us or ahead of us. I don't know how you want to put that. Anyway, so I just want to invite you to be a part of the Brain BS community. I want to inspire you to do the course, the Mastering Brain BS for Success course. It comes with the community. It is $100 annual membership for the community. If you are a coach listening to this, the C4 community is also an annual membership of $100. I've made this very affordable because money, first of all, is not my primary motivation. And secondly, I want as many people as possible to learn how to live consciously and start taking responsibility for our society and everything that's going on in it. Nobody else is going to do it, guys. We have to do it. So you have the course, you have the community, you have all the things that you're going to get access to from the other community. I have a directory on my website of the C4 coaches. So if you're interested in getting a coach, you can see how what they charge, what they do. You could get a taste of how they coach in a safe container. And I will also be there to guide you on how to hire a coach. I'll be educating you on what you should look for, what things you should set in place and make non-negotiable, and so that you can come to the coaching relationship also with your own empowerment before you even get started on this work. So lots of good things happening over here. I'm really determined to do my part, and even no matter what the outcome is, I feel really good about myself on a daily basis. I feel really good how I'm spending my time. I feel really good about the way I feel about myself. There's just so many things to be grateful for. And I just feel relevant again. I feel like what I have to say is important. I feel like I can have an impact. I mean, that's huge if you knew who I was at the beginning of my 50s. Let me tell you, that was hard earned and some of the most beneficial and amazing work I've ever done. So I invite you to join the Brain BS community. Be a part of it. Do something different. Try something different. Try to be part of the solution. Stop complaining, stop dwelling in negativity, and step into your leadership energy and join me. All right. I know you learned something valuable here today. I'll see you in the next episode in the relationship series. Thanks for taking the time to learn how to master your brain BS. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If you're inspired, I would really appreciate it if you could take the time to do a 5-star review and tell everyone about the podcast. And if you want to learn more about how you can be a part of something amazing and a community that's trying to give back and change the world in a positive way, you can go to www.thebrainbs.com to find out how.